My name is Evelyn Carter. I'm 34 years old. And until 3 weeks ago, I thought I had my life figured out. I had a fiancé I'd been with for 4 years, a man I trusted enough to plan a future with, a wedding scheduled for next June at a vineyard 2 hours upstate, string lights, late summer air, handwritten vows already half finished in the Notes app on my phone. We had a joint savings account with just over $43,000 earmarked for a down payment. Weekends spent driving through neighborhoods, debating paint colors, arguing playfully about whether we were dog people or just pretending to be. I believed we were building something solid, balanced, mutual. I was wrong. Looking back now, I can see the hairline fractures, the ones you ignore when love feels familiar enough to be mistaken for safety. His mother never liked me. She was polite in the way that leaves bruises. Sharp questions masked as curiosity. Long pauses after my answers, like she was evaluating a purchase she wasn't sure was worth the price. "What do you do again?" she'd ask, every time, as if the answer might change. When I told her about my work, she'd nod slowly, lips tight, eyes already drifting elsewhere. My fiancé, Daniel, always brushed it off. "She's just protective," he'd say. "She warms up eventually." 4 years passed. She never did. The comments started getting sharper after we got engaged. "Oh, still renting at your age?" Well, love is important, but stability matters too. Not everyone needs to be ambitious. Daniel would laugh awkwardly, change the subject. Never once say, "That's inappropriate." Never once defend me. I told myself it didn't matter. That love outweighed discomfort. That not every battle needed to be fought. Then came that Sunday in early November. Crisp air, the smell of wood smoke. Dinner at his parents' house. Roasted chicken, mashed potatoes, green beans from his mother's garden. I actually felt hopeful. Daniel's father asked about my work and listened, really listened. I thought, maybe this is changing. After dinner, the routine played out like always. The men to the living room, the women to clean up. 20 minutes in, I realized I'd left my jacket upstairs in the guest room. The study door was cracked open as I passed. And then I heard her voice. "I just don't understand what you see in her." I froze. My foot hovered above the step. "Mom, please," Daniel said, tired. "Not tonight. She's not ambitious. No family connections. No real prospects. You're settling." My heart pounded so hard I thought it would give me away. "She treats me well," he said. "Good isn't enough. You could do better. You should do better." There was a pause. A long one. And then he sighed. "I know," he said quietly. "Sometimes I wonder if you're right." That sentence didn't hurt the way betrayal does in movies. It didn't explode. It collapsed. I didn't wait to hear more. I walked downstairs, grabbed my jacket from the coat rack, and left. I told his father I wasn't feeling well. By the time Daniel noticed, I was already pulling out of the driveway, hands shaking, chest tight, 4 years unraveling behind me in the rearview mirror. When I got home, I sat in the dark. On the couch we'd picked together, the one we'd argued about fabric for 3 hours. He came home later humming. "Hey, you feeling better?" he asked. I looked at him and said the words that ended everything. "Your mother thinks I'm beneath you." And for the first time since I met him, he didn't deny it. He didn't deny it. That was the part that still makes my stomach twist when I replay it. Daniel's hand was halfway to the refrigerator handle, like he'd been about to grab a soda, like this was any other night. And when I said, "Your mother thinks I'm beneath you," his fingers froze in midair. His face went blank first. Not confused. Not offended. Just caught. Like someone who'd been walking around with a secret in their pocket and realized it had ripped a hole. "Evelyn," he started. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't cry. I didn't do anything dramatic. I just asked quietly, "Did you say it?" He swallowed. His eyes dropped. And that silence answered me before his words did. He exhaled hard, rubbing his forehead like he was the one in pain. "You weren't supposed to hear that." That phrase, "you weren't supposed to hear that," landed like a second betrayal. Not "I'm sorry I said it," not "I shouldn't have let her talk about you like that," just "you weren't supposed to catch me." "So it's true," I said. "No." He stepped toward me fast, palms open like he was approaching a wild animal. "No, it's not like that. You don't understand the context." "Oh, I understand the context," I said, my voice steady in a way that surprised even me. "Your mother told you I wasn't enough, and instead of shutting it down, you agreed." "I didn't agree," he insisted, too quickly. "I was trying to get her to stop. You know how she is. If I argue, she escalates. If I resist, she doubles down. It's easier to pacify her." Pacify. So that was what I was. A sacrifice offered to keep peace in his family. I stood up slowly. My legs felt stiff, like they belonged to someone else. So you threw me under the bus, I said, to avoid an uncomfortable conversation. That's not what happened. It is exactly what happened. His voice cracked. You're twisting it, Evelyn. It was one moment, one exhausted moment. She was pushing me. I didn't mean it. I looked at him, really looked, at the man I'd planned a wedding with, at the man who knew how I took my coffee, who'd held me through nights I couldn't sleep, who'd kissed my forehead while I worked late. And I realized something sickening. It was possible for him to love me and still not choose me. I supported you when you quit your job last year, I said, the words coming out like a list I couldn't stop myself from reading. I covered more rent. I didn't complain when you were figuring things out. I held you when your uncle died. I learned your favorite meals, even though your mom pretended to hate my cooking no matter what I made. He flinched. I kept going. I went to every family event and smiled while your mother treated me like an unwanted guest. I listened while she asked me questions like she was interviewing a replacement. He shook his head, eyes glossy. Stop. No, I said, and that one word came out sharp. No, because now I need you to answer one thing. He blinked. What? I took a breath, and the question I'd never dared ask finally surfaced. Simple, devastating. Do you respect me? He stared like he hadn't expected that. What kind of question is that? He whispered. The kind you answer, I said, because love without respect is useless. He opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. Of course I respect you. But his voice didn't sound sure. It sounded like someone repeating something they thought they were supposed to believe. I stepped closer, close enough to see the tiny twitch in his jaw. When was the last time you defended me to her? I asked. The last time you said, Mom, you don't get to speak about Evelyn like that? His eyes flicked away. My chest tightened. Daniel, I waited. Name one time. His lips parted. Nothing came out. I felt a strange calm settle over me. Not numbness, not shock, but clarity. It was like my heart finally stopped trying to negotiate with reality. It's complicated, he said finally, voice quiet. You don't understand our dynamic. I let out a slow breath. No, I said. It's simple. You either protect the person you're marrying, or you don't marry them. He stepped forward again, panic rising. Evelyn, please, I love you. I do. I've never loved anyone like I love you. My mom she's hard. She's always been hard, but I chose you. I proposed to you. You proposed, I repeated softly. Yes. And I didn't say what I was thinking yet. That a proposal meant nothing if it was offered with hesitation. That a ring didn't cover disrespect. He reached for my hands. I pulled back. That's when the mask slipped, just slightly. His voice sharpened. So what? You're going to throw away 4 years because my mother ran her mouth? I stared at him. And there it was. Not grief. Not fear. Irritation. Like I was being unreasonable. Like I was an obstacle in his path, not his partner. You're still doing it, I said. Doing what? Minimizing, I said. Calling it her running her mouth like it's nothing. Like it doesn't matter that you let her. Like it doesn't matter that you agreed. I didn't agree, he snapped, then caught himself. I didn't. Evelyn, I was tired. She wears me down. Sometimes it's easier to just... Just what? I asked, voice dangerously calm. Just let her tear me apart so she doesn't turn her claws on you? Tears spilled down his face then, sudden and messy. He hated crying. He always had. He liked control. Please, he said, please don't do this. We can fix this. We can go to counseling. I'll set boundaries, I swear. The way he said it, I'll set boundaries, like boundaries were a gift he could choose to give me after 4 years of not protecting me at all. I nodded slowly. Okay, I said. Hope flashed in his eyes so fast it was almost painful to watch. Okay, he repeated, grabbing onto the word like a lifeline. I looked at him and continued. Call your mother. His smile faltered. What? Right now, I said. Put her on speaker. Tell her she's wrong about me. Tell her she doesn't get to disrespect me. Tell her you're proud to marry me, and if she can't accept that, she won't be part of our lives. He blinked hard. Evelyn! No, I said, this is the moment, because if you mean what you're saying, you'll do it. His mouth opened, closed. He looked suddenly cornered, like I'd asked him to do something impossible. I can't do that right now, he said, voice small. I felt something inside me go completely still. You can't, I repeated. It's late. It's not about the time, I cut in. It's about you choosing comfort over me. Again. His tears stopped as quickly as they'd started. His face hardened. You're being dramatic, he said, almost cold. You're making this into some big test. It is a test, I said softly, because marriage is a test, life is a test, and you just failed the one question that mattered. He stared at me like he couldn't believe I was standing my ground. Then he tried one last angle, his voice low, guilt-laced. "You're really going to leave?" he asked. "After everything? Over something my mom said?" I stepped back and grabbed a duffel bag from the closet. I didn't pack carefully. I packed like someone trying not to fall apart. He followed me into the bedroom, talking fast now. "We have deposits down. We have invitations ready. We have a date. Evelyn, you can't just—" "I can," I said, zipping the bag. "And I am." He reached for my arm. I pulled away again. I could feel my hands shaking, but my voice stayed steady. "I'm not marrying into a family where I'm expected to smile while I'm disrespected," I said. "And I'm not marrying a man who thinks pacifying his mother is worth sacrificing me." He whispered my name like a warning. "Evelyn!" I turned at the doorway, and I said it. The sentence that ended the version of us he thought he still controlled. "You don't have to settle anymore, Daniel." His face went pale, because he understood what that meant. I walked out. And for the first time in 4 years, I didn't look back. I didn't cry when I got to my friend's apartment. That surprised me. I'd always imagined heartbreak as something loud. Sobs, shaking, collapse. Instead, it felt surgical. Clean. Like something had been cut out of me before I had time to protest. My friend Maya took one look at my face and didn't ask questions. She handed me a glass of wine, pointed to the couch, and let silence do what it needed to do. When I finally spoke, it all came out in a steady stream. The study, the sentence, the pause, the way he couldn't make the call. Maya listened, arms crossed, jaw tight. When I finished, she didn't hesitate. "Evelyn," she said, "that wasn't a mistake. That was a revelation." I stared at the ceiling that night, replaying moments I'd once dismissed. The way Daniel introduced me at work events with just my first name. The way he'd steer conversations away from my career when his friends asked. The way he'd insisted we keep finances mostly separate, even after the engagement. At the time, I'd called it independence. Now it looked a lot like distance. Monday morning, I called a lawyer. We'd used him once before, years ago, when Daniel and I first signed our lease. I explained the situation calmly, clinically. "I need to untangle my finances from my fiancé," I said, as quickly and cleanly as possible. He didn't sound surprised. "Since you're not married," he said, "this is straightforward." Straightforward. The word felt surreal, considering my life had just imploded. He outlined everything. The joint savings account could be split evenly. The lease could be modified. Daniel made more than enough to assume it alone. Utilities, insurance, shared subscriptions, easy to separate. "How fast?" I asked. "A few days," he said, "if you move quickly." "Then let's move quickly." Tuesday morning, I went to the bank. The same bank where we'd opened that joint account 2 years earlier. The teller had congratulated us then, called us such a smart couple. I sat across from a manager and explained that I wanted to withdraw my half and close the account. She hesitated. "Is your fiancé aware?" "I don't need his permission," I said, politely but firmly. "It's a joint account." She nodded and processed the paperwork. $21,500 transferred into a new account under my name only. I should have felt victorious. Instead, I felt lighter and sadder at the same time. Next stop, the landlord. I explained vaguely. Relationship change, restructuring responsibilities. He needed Daniel's signature to assume full liability, but he didn't question it. "Effective immediately?" he asked. "Yes." I watched him type. Utilities came next, then insurance, then the shared cloud folder, wedding documents, deposits, guest lists. I removed my name from everything. By Tuesday night, I'd erased myself from every shared obligation we had. I didn't tell Daniel. I wanted to see how long it would take him to notice. Wednesday, the first text came. "Can we talk? I miss you." I stared at it. Then I turned my phone face down. Thursday, 4 missed calls, 3 voicemails. In the last one, his voice cracked. "Please pick up. I know I messed up. We can fix this. We can go to counseling. Please don't shut me out. I love you." I deleted them all. Friday afternoon, my phone buzzed with a bank notification. Attempted access denied. Account not found. 10 minutes later, my phone lit up like it was on fire. I let it ring twice before answering. "What did you do?" Daniel demanded, panic bleeding through every word. "I tried to transfer money for the wedding deposit. The account's gone." "It's closed," I said calmly. "I withdrew my half. You'll get yours." "You can't just do that," he snapped. "What about the lease? The landlord said my name is the only one on it now." "It is. You're erasing yourself from our life." I paused. "No," I said. "I'm correcting a mistake." "This is insane," he said. "You're having some kind of breakdown." I didn't raise my voice. "I'm thinking clearly for the first time in months," I replied. "You told your mother you were settling for me, so I'm making it easy. You don't have to settle anymore." That's not what I meant, he insisted. You're twisting everything. Am I? I asked. Then prove it. There was a pause. Call your mother, I said. Put her on speaker. Tell her she's wrong about me. Tell her you won't tolerate her disrespect anymore. Silence. 5 seconds, 10, 15. I smiled, not because it was funny, but because it was final. That's what I thought, I said, and hung up. I blocked his number. Blocked him on every platform. Texted mutual friends asking for space, and silence. Saturday morning, Maya told me what she'd heard through the grapevine. Daniel had gone to his parents' house in hysterics. His mother had comforted him, told him I'd shown my true colors, told him she'd been right about me all along. And he'd believed her. That was when I knew. I hadn't overreacted. I'd escaped. By Monday morning, the silence felt intentional. Not empty, contained. The kind of quiet that comes after a door closes for good. I met my lawyer again, this time to make everything official. Not emotional, not symbolic, just clean, undeniable facts on paper. He drafted the letter while I sat across from him, hands folded, posture calm enough that he glanced up once and asked, "Are you doing okay?" "I am," I said honestly. The letter was clinical. It outlined the financial separation in precise language, confirmed the closure of the joint savings account, itemized the exact amount I'd withdrawn, down to the cent, documented that I'd paid my portion of every wedding-related deposit, clarified that I had no further financial or legal obligation to Daniel. No accusations, no insults, no emotion. Just reality. "I'll send it certified," the lawyer said. "Signature required." "Please do." Tuesday morning, I tracked it online. Out for delivery. I didn't feel nervous. If anything, I felt detached, like I'd already stepped far enough away that whatever happened next couldn't reach me. At 2:47 p.m., the status changed. Delivered, signed for. I imagined the scene without trying. Daniel at his parents' house, because of course he was. His mother nearby, hovering. The envelope placed in his hands like something insignificant. By 3:15, my blocked call log lit up with unknown numbers. 5 calls in 10 minutes. I ignored them all. At 3:30, an email slipped through. One address I'd forgotten to block. Subject line, please. I deleted it without opening. That evening, Maya sat beside me on the couch, scrolling through her phone with a look that told me something had already gone wrong somewhere else. "You're not going to like this," she said. "I don't think I care," I replied. She exhaled. Apparently, Daniel opened the letter in front of his mom. I stayed quiet. Maya continued. "From what I heard, she started reassuring him, saying you were just throwing a tantrum, that you'd come crawling back once you realized you couldn't do better." I closed my eyes, not in pain, but recognition. That sounded exactly like her. Then, Maya said slowly, he got to the 3rd page. The itemized breakdown, the confirmation that everything was final, that I hadn't acted impulsively, that I'd planned. "That's when he snapped," Maya said. According to the story, passed through cousins, friends, half-whispered retellings, Daniel didn't cry. He screamed at his mother. He accused her of poisoning his mind, of tearing me down until doubt felt safer than loyalty, of convincing him he could do better until he believed it. She tried to calm him, Maya said, told him you were never right for him anyway. "And?" I asked. And he told her she'd ruined his life. I let out a slow breath. They fought for over an hour. Voices raised, doors slammed, years of resentment detonating all at once. It ended with Daniel storming out of the house and not answering her calls afterward. I didn't feel satisfaction. I felt confirmation. Wednesday morning, my lawyer forwarded confirmation that all documents had been finalized. Done. That same day, I signed the lease on a small 1-bedroom across town. It wasn't glamorous, but it was mine. No history, no compromise, no one else's expectations embedded in the walls. By the end of the week, I heard the wedding had been postponed indefinitely. People understood what that meant. Friends reached out, some apologetic, some awkward, some quietly supportive. One of Daniel's friends hugged me in the grocery store aisle and whispered, "We always thought you were the good one." I thanked her and kept walking. I didn't ask how Daniel was doing. I didn't need to. The envelope had done its job, not as revenge, as clarity. 3 weeks later, I was sitting on the floor of my new apartment, surrounded by half-unpacked boxes and the smell of fresh paint. I'd chosen the color myself, a soft, warm white that caught the afternoon light instead of swallowing it. The silence here felt different, not lonely, honest. I didn't have a couch yet, so I ate takeout on the floor and didn't apologize to anyone for it. I didn't have to negotiate what to watch, what to cook, how late to stay up. There was no background tension, No invisible audience judging my choices. Just me. I heard through Maya, always through Maya, that Daniel had officially canceled the wedding. Not postponed. Canceled. Messages had gone out to guests explaining there were unforeseen complications. Most people read between the lines. Apparently, his social circle had shifted overnight. Friends who'd once smiled politely at me now kept their distance from him. Not cruelly, just noticeably. His mother, on the other hand, was furious. Furious that neighbors were whispering. Furious that her carefully curated image of success had cracked. Furious that her son was single at 32 and, in her words, off track. She'd been telling anyone who would listen that I was the problem, that I'd been controlling, that I'd abandoned him emotionally, that she was relieved we hadn't gotten married because who knows what kind of wife I would have been. I let her talk. The people who mattered already knew the truth. As for Daniel, I didn't know what he was doing. I didn't check his social media, didn't drive past the old apartment, didn't ask mutual friends for updates. That version of my life was sealed off. What surprised me most was this. I didn't miss him. I missed the idea of us, the future I'd imagined, the version of him I'd hoped would eventually choose me without hesitation. But the real man, the one who paused instead of defending me, I didn't want him back. That letter I sent, it wasn't about punishing him. It was about making sure he understood, in clear, legal, undeniable terms, exactly what he'd lost. Not because I needed validation, but because I refused to leave quietly and let myself be rewritten as the problem. I wasn't beneath him. I was just done being treated like I was. I joined a boxing class, Tuesdays and Thursdays. Turns out hitting something helps when you've spent years absorbing blows quietly. I started reading again, reconnected with friends I'd drifted from, relearned what it felt like to make choices without explaining them. I'm 34. I'm single, and I'm starting over. Not because I failed, but because I finally stopped settling for someone who thought